right, live once again. I think I'm gonna have to probably do something about the lighting with this. I also don't love how blurry this camera proved to be. Might just be low res, but that's all right. Okay, so get another sip of my fog buster here. I tell you, I'm a air roasted coffee man. That is my jam, man. I do not like an upset stomach. Um, So yeah, more NFL thoughts. I kind of didn't, I kind of just talked in points. I may hit a few things now, but I did want to at least touch on Shedeur Sanders. I just think that, he's certainly not showing us that he is the most incredible quarterback we've seen, but he absolutely has shown a lot of poise. I think it's really been, um, to his testament, what he's done. I think it was unfortunate him not being allowed to go and try to seal the win in that game for them, but I think there's certainly something there. And it's nice that he's going to have another 4 weeks or so to, build on it, give him a chance to try to win out the starting job next year. I don't personally feel that he's done enough to just be the starter going forward. I have definitely heard, Shedeur haters talking bad and Shedeur truthers talking about that he can walk on water. But I just think that he certainly has shown that he has the aptitude. I think the poise is better. My biggest drawback on him is I felt like he had an inability to move around in the pocket. Seemed like he was always drifting back. I also feel like he thinks that he can scramble better than he can, and he thinks he's a little faster than he can. And I think it leads to him taking a lot of sacks. So I think it's something he'll have to mature a little bit in his game, but I did feel a little better pocket movement in this one. That scramble for a touchdown looked nice. He definitely doesn't have wheels, but that was a good heads up play. But some of those passes, the touchdown pass to Njoku, that pass to Harold Fannin, that incredible pass to Judy. There was definitely some things to be excited about. And so, more, good on him. I do continue to think it's odd that it took them this long to give him a chance. I guess if maybe the feeling was to just go towards tanking, or maybe they wanted to absolutely knew what they had in Gabriel, but it seemed like the Gabriel situation, we seem to have understood what his limitations were and the offense's limitations with him at the helm pretty quickly. So it is a little surprising that it took this long, but good for Shedeur. I hope he continues to have success. And another thing I was thinking about, and in some ways, I guess it relates because, so often I feel like when I'm hearing from, any talking points is just, anyone in the media, it's just always, again, it's so much of these collective of everyone just having the same opinion. And Shedeur's funny because, again, it was a sort of binary opinion, which is either he's all completely horrible or he's absolutely awesome. And I feel like that's sort of been the Mahomes experience in some ways, and it relates to Justin Herbert because I like to listen to the various talking shows. Nick Wright and the guys over on First Things First is one I do at times listen to, although I'm like an angry man shaking my fist at the TV a lot as I do. I just get tired of the sort of, this like WW, well, I guess now it's WWE. When I was a kid, it was WWF, but this whole, scripted wrestling thing and the whole way that's built and how they kind of try to turn everything into these big over the top productions and craziness. Like, to me, I'm so much more interested in cogent analysis than I am, a bunch of people trying to figure out how to entertain children. But at the same time, considering that, in my opinion, they've taken the NFL and turned it into baby food. And it's really seems like it's most appealing for people who don't really understand football and don't really understand how the game works. I think they think it's a lot more fun now. And so, the childlike nature of sort of fantasy football. And I love playing fantasy, but I just think the sort of way it's used, the sports betting app, all this shiny flashing lights casino thing they tried to turn everything into, and then everything's all these like talking heads, just most of the time, again, not really offering a lot of coaching analysis. It's just a lot of like, people wearing stupid hats or, screaming loudest about something or another, or it's and this is what brings you back to Nick and the Mahomes thing, is obviously he loves Mahomes and Mahomes truther. He built his career around, um, talking about how Mahomes is the greatest of all times and better than Brady and these things. But what I find is this lack of bravery with him and many others to actually talk about anybody else who's successful. It's just hanging to the idea that, well, of course, eventually Mahomes is going to do it, or Josh Allen's going to win, or Lamar Jackson's going to win. It's going to be Joe Burrow, or it's going to be, and I don't catch a lot of original thinking. And, this was yesterday. And again, more power to Nick, because again, you got to have the talking points. He also, from Kansas City, you can't piss off his fan base there. But after seeing everything we've seen on the season up to now and the way the Chiefs have performed, Nick was still going on and on about how, and has forever talked about how Justin Herbert is a fake. He's not really as great as everybody wants to anoint him. Mahomes is so much better. Mahomes is the greatest. He's the only one that really matters. Josh isn't as good as Mahomes. No other player is as good as Mahomes. Mahomes is Mahomes. Well, I will agree that Patrick Mahomes has an incredibly huge arm and an ability to, or did have an ability to throw from almost any angle and, all this crazy stuff. And yeah, he can run kind of fast and he moves around in the pocket and knows how to manipulate the pocket, and, came into the league at a time when they had really taken defense away and they were really flagging people for sort of hitting quarterbacks, and defenses got really nervous about how to play and hit quarterbacks. And then he started to have success, and then NFL really got, so you kind of saw defenses afraid to touch him, I feel like, in a lot of ways, which I think is added into his ability. I also have for a long time thought that Patrick's somewhat of a dirty player, in the way that he would, pretend to go down and then not go down and get flags, or dance along the sideline and go out, or just other little dirty things. I can remember him, who was it he was playing, where someone had intercepted him and he went to tackle the guy and he hit him like right in the knees. It's just like, whatever. I mean, he's a, rich kid of opportunity with a father as a professional baseball player, and the mom, I think, was a cheerleader or something. I know she was some success, but I mean, he's grown up around opportunity, whatever. I mean, it's like Mac Jones, spoiled rich kid, man. It's just whatever. But Mahomes has a lot of natural raw ability, which is incredible. My issue with it, though, of these people wanting to anoint him as the greatest, watching what he plays, to me, his style, is most germane for, say, backyard football, or most germane for this style of football where defenses can't really hit the quarterback, and defenses also can't really hit the wide receiver. They can't really check over the middle. There's no headhunting. There's just, it's just so much of what has happened, the way people can tackle people and not, just so much of what has changed in the way defenses can operate, has lended towards this, this desire for all this offensive points to be scored and whatnot. And I think it's allowed for someone like Mahomes to have success. But the ability to run around and perform off script does not make one a great quarterback. It makes one a great thrower, and it makes one a great opportunist. It makes one, and that's the thing is Mahomes is a wow player. He's an excitable. I hear me talk about high variant play, and that's what he is. He's a guy who, big win, big loss, and up to now, for whatever reason, that big high variant play, he's been very successful in it, and he's won in clutch games, and we can pretend that's all that matters. But the reason that I think many have talked highly about someone like Justin Herbert. And for me, I'll also talk about someone like Drake May. And a guy like Joe Burrow, is they can actually play within structure. Joe Burrow in particular, I mean, he actually can operate in a pocket. He can be a pocket passer. He can read defenses. He can, it's a different sort of skill level. He can literally carve you apart because he's a precise thrower of the ball with incredible fundamentals and incredible mechanics. Mahomes has shown as time's gone on that he's gotten older, he's not as able. And one, he's shown that he can't really work under structure. He can't really operate under center. Hence why the run game struggles, is because they can't run under center. It's always this either RPO or shotgun stuff. So it's the defense can constantly blow it up. He can't really understand how to deal with pressure. So if you're pressuring him a lot, he can't really handle it. He seems that he doesn't seem to really be able to read defenses, particularly if they shift after. But he kind of makes up for that because he just runs around and does his backyard stuff until something opens up, and then he throws a big play. And again, he might score, and that could be really exciting, but it's not sustainable. And I think that's what you see this year, is that style is really not sustainable. And you see a lot of these teams, Lamar Jackson, Ravens, same. Buffalo's coming on, but it'll be interesting to see how they're able to succeed going down, because their success is based on one person basically having to go crazy instead of just having well-balanced teams that are very well-balanced. It's all predicated on the idea of one or two incredible individuals, which is hard to sustain. And it's certainly hard to sustain for like 20 years, like the Patriots did. So the big thing is, so with the first things first, and Nick Wright, he was talking to his guy, Danny Parkins, about, and Danny's a big Justin Herbert guy. He always has a Charger fan. He talks about Justin Herbert all the time, and Nick's always, it's always funny because you can tell when he's threatened by someone's take about a player, because his voice gets very high pitched and he gets very animated, and then he starts screeching and talking over everybody else and has to make his point and talk over everyone, which you can tell he's sort of threatened at that point. And Justin Herbert's always one that he gets so pissed when everyone talks, or Josh Allen, about, they're not as great as Mahomes. Well, yesterday what we saw was Justin Herbert with his O-line also very depleted, and he just out of surgery with a pin in his left finger, and him getting hit and decimated, and receivers dropping the ball, and all sorts of madness going on, and interceptions and batted passes and all the craziness that was going on. And he literally put that team on his back and gutted out a win for them against the Eagles, against the Super Bowl winning Eagles, who are the people who made Mahomes look like a joke last year as they beat him to the ground as the Kansas City Chiefs tried to play in the Super Bowl. And they absolutely embarrassed that team. And I'm not trying to dunk on Mahomes. I just think that what would be great for Mahomes in this offseason would be to put a lot of time into his footwork and put a lot of time into learning how to operate under center, work on his fundamentals more, work on those pieces, and then get more talent. Because if not, I think that you're not going to see a lot of high success for them again. They're also obviously need to restock because they're basically out of players and, running a lot of old folks. But I do want to give the flowers to Herbert, because I think he showed exactly why the faith that's been put on him is that he has these incredible skills and this incredible ability. And what it also shows is that it's difficult to just it's difficult to win in the NFL, and it's particularly difficult when you don't have situations where people are questioning the integrity of the refs and of the officiating. It's also hard to have sustained success if you're not able to do the little things well all the time. And I think that is something that you're really seeing coming back with Kansas City. That's kind of come and bite them in the back end. But it'll be interesting because Nick and Danny were talking about this. Nick's big take was basically that the Chargers were going to fall apart. They were going to lose to the Eagles last night. Then the Chiefs are going to go on a run. That the Chargers were going to lose to the basically whatever it was going to play out, where essentially they were going to both end up at 10-7, and then somehow that would allow the Chiefs to get into the playoffs. But the Chargers did not lose last night. They won. Nick is still convinced that his team, these Chiefs, can go on this incredible run and knock out all these other teams. But what's the evidence that we've seen to that? I mean, they are tired. They look sad. They look old. Their offensive scheme doesn't look look well. Their defense is still playing well for sure, but it's not enough. And I think it's time to just move on to some other teams and give them some flowers. And I think the nice thing would be to hear, why don't we start talking about the Jaguars? Why isn't there coverage talking about the Jaguars? And why aren't we talking about the Texans? And why aren't we talking about the Chargers? And why aren't we talking about the Patriots? And why aren't we, why is it constantly, the Ravens and the Chiefs? And, nobody wants to hear about those tired, sad franchises, yeah. Well, anyway, it's enough rambling for this little moment here. I'll pass this one along and we'll maybe come back tomorrow. All right. Have a good one. Take it easy.